What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1135 of Flow Wrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, live from Austin, Texas, presented by Nike Wrestling. We got a great show in store for you today. To my right, he is back from the road, back from Geneva, James Dean Rader. To the left, Andrew Spencer Spey. And to the left, not one, but two. These are the Hawaii boys, Tyler Meisinger and Cyon Williams. These two have vacationed together.
I thought Cyon vacationed with Connor.
Oh, with JD, actually.
Oh, yeah, it was me.
I was JD the whole time.
Those who know...
Ironically, that's the only last time I was allowed on the show, too.
Yeah, if you're not raising money for charity, it's tough to get on this show.
Chickens in the background.
That was insane. But yeah, of course, if you watched that show, you remember that Cyon and Tyler went to Hawaii to follow up on a fundraiser they did for the wrestling program affected by the fires. And it was there we learned that Cyon had no idea who he was traveling with that entire week. And he proceeded to call him JD no less than 5 times on that show, unintentionally. It was amazing. But since that time, Cyon likes to blame me for him not being on the show. But since that time, he has begun a donut empire. Mm-hmm. Is this true?
Shipley's Donuts,
There's
just
a
a
bunch of
franchise,
donuts
trying to grow some things outside of Flow for when they put me out the door.
Okay. Interesting. But now, is that an empty box or did you actually bring
Donuts in here,
What kind? What's the go-to for you, Cyon?
Me, I regularly like a cream filled,
Show the camera. Show the camera the
camera.
donuts, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
We're
Can the
trying
camera
to-
see? These nice. Wait.
Yeah, you just hold one up. There you go.
Nice donuts in here.
Any jalapeno donuts?
Not even one Long John?
Shipley's. Yeah, there you go. You show them better.
These are the donuts right here.
Wow. Okay, wow. What an assortment.
Made those myself this morning.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
You know how to make them.
I had to go to Donut University.
Really?
There's actually a Donut University.
DU. What do you have your doctorate in donuts?
I have a certificate from Donut University.
Wow. Very good.
What do you do there?
You learn everything from making all the donuts from scratch.
What's one thing before we're gonna get into a lot of wrestling? Vito Arujau, 125,
This is why you come
Final
to the show.
X. But what is the number one thing that people don't know about the donut industry?
You got to get up early in the morning,
I think I could have told you
A
that.
lot of people know that. 'Cause that's the
I don't
famous
know,
commercial.
man.
It's time to make the donuts. And the guy wakes up
you got that old Dunkin' Donut commercial where that guy I remember that used to be the dumbest commercial when I was younger. Time to make the donuts.
Yeah, but
Time to make the
It
donuts.
taught
at
an
2.
entire generation that you have
And
to
then
get
I
up
was
early to
like,
make donuts.
I understand that saying now. Time to make the donuts.
There you go. Now, donuts always been a passion of yours, or just for recent?
Nah, that was just something that a college friend taught me into doing. We a couple of old Iowa State football players, and then we all, they asked me to come on board.
Hey, I want to shut your laptop for a second. You're hiding the great Nike wrestling shirt you're wearing.
Oh, it's always
Shut your laptop. Then you can see it. There you
it's
go.
the Cyon exclusive from Nike. They got those, but they don't get the Cyon exclusive.
So I can tell that that's not a Cyon bootleg because it's actually nice quality and our colors and branding.
But
Show
it's
that.
done by Nike. Nike made these exclusively just for Cyon.
There you go.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And look at
So
Tyler.
it's still bootleg.
Oh, it is?
This was pre-deal.
Oh, it's before the deal. You were making your own?
Well, no, I had permission.
Okay. But Tyler, this is a real one. Tyler, you did not have this made.
No, I did not.
Nike just sent us this.
I sat down in the office and JD was like, "Hey, we got our Nike stuff," and I jumped out of my shoes.
Yeah, he
sprinted over to that box.
immediately started changing.
So we're going to be all decked out in Nike going forward.
That's right.
And people can get your
You can
sweatshirt,
buy that
but not the
sweatshirt.
Cyon exclusive. That's
can get
only
that
on eBay
one.
can you get Cyon shirts. But Tyler's, anybody can.
If you want a
acquire.
Cyon exclusive, just email Cyon, say hook a brother up.
That's all it takes.
I might email you.
And leave a positive review for Shipley's Donuts.
And leave a positive review
Cyon
for
only makes like a
Shipley's
15%
Dripping
profit.
Springs.
We can show Tyler's going to pull up how you can get this sweatshirt. Maybe.
Maybe.
We're doing this right off the rip, so maybe not.
Yeah.
But anyway,
give me
we'll
a
come
sec.
back to this. We have a lot to get to. JD, why don't you bring us to our first wrestling topic of the day?
Let's talk a little Vito Arujau. So you had speculated for a while, is Vito going to wrestle on June 15th? Is he not? Turns out he requested a Final X delay, and it was granted. So at a time and location to be determined, Jax and Vito will wrestle their best of 3 Final X series.
Yes.
Fargo.
Thought.
No, I'm just saying.
What does that mean?
Something is going to happen at Fargo.
Oh, I thought you said Marco. I was like,
Adding a new bit to the show.
I was like, oh, Marco Polo for an FRL first. Yeah, I mean, Fargo would make a lot of sense. Yeah, I think. I thought this after the Open. Yeah, I kind of basically mentioned that I thought this was a possibility, and I even said I think Jax is going to win the spot. Health being a portion of that rationale, and now the delay was official. Going to be probably in July if I had to guess. And yeah, a lot of conversation anytime this happens. But it is part of the process. It's something only afforded to returning medalists.
How do you feel about that? Do you think returning medalists should be able to request a delay? Do you think it should only be returning medalists?
Yeah. So the process for Team USA should be to make sure you get the best guy. The process should not be to make sure the medalist makes the team, right? Those are two different things. And I think there is a reasonable stance that would say, okay, we should make sure that there is an advantage for the medalist. I've always agreed with that. I've always thought, I agree with the Final X sit out, that you should get that if you're a returning medalist. Where I get a little bit, is this really what we want to do? Is this really determining the best guy? Is if we give all these extenuating circumstances. In Olympic years, when a guy's got to make weight and wrestle a whole tournament and then wrestle a fresh guy, that's where I'm like, are we trying to get the best guy or get the medalists on the team? When you allow a delay like this, are we trying to get the best guy or are we trying to get the medalist on the team?
Is he hurt?
Yes, he's hurt.
Okay.
So he's able to request and you can't just say, "Oh, I'm hurt." You have to go through a process, through a doctor that gets approved, the whole thing. So whenever there is this delay, there is an actual legit injury for sure. There's no doubting that. But the one thing about, and the reason I bring this sort of specific, verbiage up is because the world champions are when they are 74 kilograms, 79 kilograms. They're wrestled on this day at this time, no matter what, come heck or high water. So we don't get if it were the world championships, you don't get the opportunity to say, oh, well, let's push it. And to me, I feel like in some ways, Final X should have that kind of a finality. Yes, absolutely. I feel like we are determining our team on this date. We are determining who our rep is on this date. And your readiness, your preparedness, whatever version of you that you are that day, that's what you get to put on the mat to try to make the team. And I think that would be good. I'm not saying this is the wrong process. I'm saying I would like if the World Championships and Final X had a similar sort of really importance, I guess is the word.
Now,
right?
Theoretically, wouldn't the closer to that date to determine your team be the more accurate representation of the best guy? Meaning, as long as it's before camps and travel and whatnot, if you determine your team closer to the World Championships, that's the closer level they are going to be at the World Championships.
Perhaps. But I don't think the difference is significant in terms of the timing. I think just the difference is, hey, everyone has marked June 14th as the date we're determining our world team, and now it's, a month and change later in all likelihood. That's my only perspective. And I just think that's, similarly, like the Big Ten championships, they are when they are. And you have to wrestle at them at a certain level to get to the NCAA championships. That's how Final X sort of is. Like, this is how you get to the big one, right? And so by this being how you get to the big one, you make Final X more important, right? So I just think I think you could look at that. And who's to say that Jax isn't the better option right now? I mean, Vito is certainly more proven. I guess my point is if Jax Forrest sprained his ankle after the U.S. Open and wasn't going to be 100% for Final X, why would you not want him to also be able
That I
do
agree
it?
with.
So that's where I don't understand. Like, I understand protecting if the idea is to protect the medals, we have done that. You are getting them. They skip to the end of the line, and I support it. I'm for it. But it's like now it's like beyond a little bit where I think it needs to be, and it could be debated, right?
Well, my thing is, you both qualified for Final X. Now you should be on a level playing field. Vito qualified for Final X by winning a world medal last year.
Yeah.
Jax qualified for Final X by winning the U.S. Open. Now you're on a level playing field.
Yes.
Now everything's even.
All square.
It's whoever wins the next 2 matches.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
now the medalist still shouldn't have an advantage because only Vito could request to wrestle off. Jax is not able to.
Yeah, I don't really disagree with you guys. The only thing I would say that's kind of like beside anybody's personal opinion and anybody's how they feel about this process is that the process was on the books. It's very well spelled out for all the athletes, and the athletes have an avenue to have input on this or request changes that USA Wrestling periodically goes through with the athletes committee. So if, besides the fans, besides what people want to see or what they think is fair or not, if the athletes want to change or the athletes don't think it's fair, there is an avenue for them to voice their, displeasure or
And it's been this way for years.
Yeah. So
Has this rule ever been brought up? Like, when's the last time this
Kyle
rule
Dake
was?
did this in 2019, and it was interesting then. If you recall, if you can go on a time and listen, that's maybe an example of Kyle Dake, because I saw a tweet replying to some questions about this situation, replying to something I put out, like, "Hey, if you're not ready, June, you're not going to be ready to win World." Kyle Dake literally got the delay and won the World Championships. He beat Alex Deringer.
Didn't he
But-
compete overseas?
What he did do, which was hotly debated, he delayed, and basically his note or whatever said he couldn't compete until whatever the date was, August something, for the Final X wrestle-off. Meanwhile, Kyle went to Spain and wrestled in the Spanish Grand Prix in July. So people were like, wait, I thought he couldn't wrestle until August. He's wrestling in July. And that did create that was a kerfuffle. That was a thing. People were not pleased about that. But it was all within the rules. It was all allowed and nothing, everything was above board. But people did feel like, wait, I thought he couldn't wrestle yet, but he can. So yeah, that was different. I don't anticipate Vito is going to do that because I think
Is wrestling the only sport that does such a thing? Because I don't see any other sport that would say, "Hey, I'm not ready. Let's delay the NBA championships until next week."
Yeah.
It's a little
delay the
different when it's
NCAA
individual
champions. Yeah.
sports, and I don't follow Olympic sports.
I'm not aware
You
of.
just pick the team. There's no wrestle off. There's no basketball off. There's tryouts, and then the coach just says who he wants on the team.
Coach K goes, "I want this guy, this guy, this guy."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know I don't follow many other sports, certainly no other individual sports, so I don't know how it's done.
It's interesting to compare to how other countries do it. So Vinay Sawach, who works for UWW, brought up that in Japan, a wrestler couldn't make it to weigh-ins for something beyond his control, and he requested some extra, ability to do that, some flexibility. And Japan's federation said, "These are the rules. No, you're not there. There's no delay. There's no whatever." But if you look at the couple other wrestling powers like Iran and Russia, they just straight up make up on the spot. Okay, well, if you're a guy of, let's say, Sadulayev stature, we're either just going to put you on the team or we'll make whatever rules we want up on the spot. And if people want to complain, whatever, but the Russian Federation isn't going to change, and Iran does rather similar things. So, I mean, does any other country do it? I think Iran and Russia are pretty big examples of countries that do way more to protect the guys that they want on the team.
Yeah.
Sometimes Sidakov just hits a Granby rule and they don't call two.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kozak's in the chat. He found a good parallel to UFC. Fights get canceled and rescheduled all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, they don't. They get canceled, but somebody else just steps in to fight somebody else, to fight the guy that's doing it.
That's not always true.
Yeah, but in most cases, one fighter steps out, but somebody else steps in. They don't they don't cancel the whole card.
I think, and I also think that's pretty different too. Just because
No, yeah, it's
not those matches just stand on those fights just.
It's obviously different, but like you're just trying to find a parallel in another
Yeah.
sport. It's hard.
I think it's hard.
I'm not a fan of delays.
But
Then again, I'm not a good wrestler, so
Yeah.
I
We have
asked the
that in
chat. I said, should delays be allowed in the trials process for returning medalists? 57% yes. I also asked them, is it fair that the returning medalist can request a delay, but the U.S. Open winner can't? And that was 54% no.
So people would maybe be open for all being able
Exactly.
to.
If you're in the finals, you're in the finals.
Yeah, that's like, all right, the world medal is now, that's been factored in. Just kind of like, I think that's exactly what JD is saying. I totally agree with that. Once Final X is set, you're on equal standing at that point.
As a fan, though, if that is the case, I would prefer that no delays would be allowed.
Same here.
Because I don't want Final X losing. I don't want the rule to get abused. I don't think anybody has abused it yet. I'm just saying if now both guys can request one with a doctor's note, pretty soon you'll have multiple matches not being wrestled at Final
Hey,
X.
I know plenty of doctors that I can get a note from.
They have to be
Yeah.
at least the USA Wrestling approved doctors. You can't just find some quack.
No problem.
Man, I got connections.
All right.
I think Cyon
Cyon
doesn't
knows
have
that.
USA
If you
Wrestling
need a doctor's
approved
note, I
doctors.
can
Flip
hook
him a
you
little
up.
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah,
Free donuts for the refs again.
there you go.
Now, didn't Vito request this rest off before he actually had to? Isn't
Yeah, he
That
could
was
have. He could have
courteous.
pushed it to 48 hours before Final
Right.
X, which would have been insane.
Thank you for not doing that.
Yeah, and you're seeing video of him. He's posting videos of him training and competing, so he's not totally laid up, right, in a way that he can't even get on the mat. So that's good. Including he posted one the very day I said I thought he was going to request a rest off. So that made me wonder if they're going to play some head games, because the timing of that post with me saying I think he's requested was, I thought, interesting.
Did you
Now-
have the scoop?
Yes.
That almost makes me more nervous for Vito and his health coming in, where I'm like, if you're able to work out now, but you're not healthy enough, you already know I don't want to wrestle June 14th.
Yeah.
How much better are you really going to get? Is this a nagging thing that's been going on for
Or
months?
is it just head game with the high schooler, delaying the high schooler?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think Vito would do that I don't think it has anything to do with Jax or anything other than he's not 100%. He's not been 100%. I think even through NCAAs last year, the World Championships last year, he wasn't. My biggest concern in all this is is Vito taking the time to just get fully healthy? And maybe full health is not a possibility anymore. I would think it would be. And is he sort of like the allure of staying on teams and winning world medals? Is that maybe shortchanging him somewhat down the line? That's one thing I am worried about. Like,
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so basically he was dealing with some sort of a neck thing throughout last year. Remember, he lost to Crookham twice,
Yeah.
didn't look the same, but he just gritted it out and wrestled amazing NCAAs, won the 2 out of 3 against Marcus Blaze and got bronze at the World Championships. But was never seemingly fully healthy, fully Vito during that time. And now seeing this delay, I'm wondering, is he taking the steps to get fully locked in healthy so that come 27 and 28, we get the best Vito Arujau that we think can be a world and world
If
champion?
that's the case, why don't he just take the year off?
Well, that's my what I'm wondering.
Here's my thing. He basically did. He did not compete
True.
from when was Worlds? October
Or September.
until
Yeah, October.
now.
October.
And so if you take, if 6 months, 8 months, whatever, isn't going to do it, like is,
2 weeks, another month. I don't know if it's going to really.
well, that's
make
kind
it.
of what I'm saying about worried about his health, but also is taking now a full year and a half going to do it? Or is this always just kind of going to be a thing?
Yeah, they got to weigh the advantage of he wants to compete, win a medal, and then sit out again. And let's say he's like 96%, and another week will get him to 97. It's just one of those
Odds.
Just
Yeah.
take whatever advantage
You could get.
Like he's gonna end up competing, even if he didn't wrestle this year at World. Like let's say he makes the team and wrestles at Worlds, he'll end up wrestling the same amount of matches in this 2-year span. If he didn't wrestle at this Worlds and has to go make it through the U.S. Open.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like he'll have to do 2 tournaments no matter what.
assuming he medals.
Yeah.
Assuming he medals.
And I'm saying this as
But at the same
Not the-
time, is he going to be ready for Worlds? Because he hasn't, your mat. Is his mat readiness going to be ready?
I think he'll
if
be
he,
ready.
if he beats Jax,
He's ready.
he deserves the spot and should go compete. But as not a doctor, and I don't know what's going on. As not a doctor,
You're not?
Doctor of Donuts, maybe.
I'm Dr. Feelgood. Yeah, not a licensed physician. It is taking a full year off going to make that much of a difference versus 8 months.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have to ask the real doctors, not just Dr. Feelgood.
That's right.
Hey, I know real doctors that can get you a note.
Boy, if you keep
Going back to these
mentioning
doctors
that.
that
You need, hey, you need to get on that Uncle JLP
I know
plan.
people.
That's how you really get healthy.
JD.
I'm just saying.
All right.
So great.
Maybe a trip to Germany, little stem cells, something or another. I don't know.
Yeah.
These are more things I don't know about.
All right, Cyon, let's go back to you.
What's up?
And then we're gonna kick you out after this.
You're kicking me out.
You're
Man.
Mr. AI, Mr. Camera AI. You work for robots now or something? What's going on?
Well, there's a lot going on in what Cyon's doing here at Flow, working on the Nights in America, like getting that off the ground last year, trying to make it even a better thing next year. Now Flows, we're actually working on a new thing a new update to Track Wrestling, which is an AI camera that's going to be free as long as you're using Track Wrestling, which is going to take wrestling to the next level, make your production a whole lot easier, where the AI program is literally going to be able to follow the action and do everything for you. You just hit stream, point it to the mat, and it's going to be ready to go. So, Flow, we're doing a lot of big things when it comes to that. Updating our brackets, we're doing a lot that's going out. So, as we call our SMS team right now is like out there.
What does that stand for?
Sports management system.
Got it.
I thought it was text messages.
And with text messaging, that's actually been brought to Track Wrestling now. So you're able to get notification alerts, and it's always free. We never charge. We just don't charge. So that's another big thing, that update that's happening. Actually, it's been rolled out to Track
So you're
Wrestling.
telling me, Cyon, that for
Unlimited
some,
text
For
messaging.
some, I'm not talking about that. For some of these events that we've all seen the kind of a zoomed out camera. You can't really see what's going on. It's going to zoom in and follow the action.
Yep,
The machines.
our engineering team has done a great job of we've been out testing this the whole last season, actually all the last seasons. It's gonna zoom out, zoom back in, pan and follow to the left, to the right. It's a game changer for wrestling. We've seen it in basketball. They have those. I don't want to give any other company any promotions, but basketball regularly have those cameras, but it was never really built for wrestling. Now we actually have one built for wrestling, and that's part of my goal. So you're going to be seeing me at a lot of wrestling tournament, demoing these cameras, getting y'all to come on over and use those cameras, making Flow the essential destination for wrestling, period.
There you go. All right, what if they want to get a tournament on, they just hit you up?
If they want to get a tournament on, stream any of their events, just email cyon.williams@flowsports.tv. Get a spot on my calendar. We'll get you streaming.
There you go.
If you forget his email, go to Shipley's Donuts in Drippy Springs, leave a 1-star review.
5-star
We'll hear
reviews
from
only.
him
Hey.
immediately.
You know what?
5-star reviews only.
Now, I thought you were coming on here to publicly thank the listeners of this show.
I am also thanking all the listeners, even the Hawkeye fan that, for the record, I do not donate to Iowa Wrestling, but still. But thank all the fans that did jump online, and helped us get to a good review.
4.2.
4.2.
We were at
Now we
3.
need to get to a 4.9.
To the moon.
The first month is it's funny doing making donuts. It's like finding employees that want to work is ridiculous nowadays. I think in the 2 months we've been open, we're up to I started giving numbers from 101. We're up to 167.
Oh,
and
my.
Employees is just turn
lot of
in
turnover.
fast food.
So if you're a
Need to get on
Dripping
that
Springs
AI.
listener with a little work ethic, you gotta
Yeah.
call
and we
Jake.
pay good.
Discount on the donuts for workers?
The workers get 50%. Well, the workers, if you're working, you get free donuts when you work.
Dang.
Not bad.
Now, are you worried about these AI computers becoming sentient, uprising, creating an army, taking us out?
Skynet problem.
You know what? At the rate that it's going, I'll be dead by then. So the kids, they might have a problem with the sentient
got a
AIs
problem.
in the future.
As Jordan said.
Now, what do you say? To a local guy named TA who wrote this review?
Yeah, I'm
Google
not gonna-
Maps put this place in the middle of the road, and the guy on the phone was Zero Help, who was the guy on the phone, and
it
kept
was
giving
not
me
me.
wrong info that is nowhere on Google. Weird customer service. Cyon, customer service is that's your expertise.
That's funny. Because, when the store was built, Google put it, because it was a brand new area, brand new store, Yeah, it was. They literally put the pin in the middle of the highway, so people kept going, "Where's your store?" They're just putting us in the middle of the highway. We got that fixed. We're no longer in the middle of the highway, and
That's good.
You know, as for customer service, yes, when you're having a fully revolving door and people up front, that was a problem. Like, you know, you had like young people, just people that just didn't belong up front. So, as you could see lately, in the first month was just rough because the quality of the donuts was. A lot of things affect donuts. The temperature affects how your donuts arises and everything. But now we've actually fixed a lot. We have a stable staff now, and I say our donuts are good now.
That's great.
We're going
So
to
we
donut
need
you.
you go to the Dripping Springs Shipley's Donut and give me all 5-star reviews.
And you may walk out with some
Anyway,
free donuts,
if you come
right?
in and you say, "Hey, Cyon, hook a wrestler up," I'll give you a free glaze.
Great. Now Dripping
Not in the middle of the
Springs-
freeway.
And it's
Now,
not in
Dripping Springs wrestling program, they're gonna all miss weight next year thanks to Cyon.
Yeah.
That's nice.
outside the wrestling season.
Outside the season. That's right. Or ask for their weight certification numbers. Have a scale in there. Be like, all right, you're close enough.
Heavyweights
Hey,
are good.
I do believe in supporting local. You know, we want to help out the Dripping Springs area. We do a lot of discounts on, like, you know, baseball teams that come in and want stuff. Discounts, baseball team, churches.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you know, we want to help the community, but we also have to make money. But we do discounts and stuff like that.
Talk to us about the next year's Flow Wrestling Night in America schedule. What can you tell us about it? It's been discussed a lot
Actually,
internally.
you know, last season we just wanted to get off the ground, which we did. And now this season coming up, you know, we got like majority of the top 10 high school matches set up. So it's going to be crazy. We're still working on our college part of the schedule. But, you know, the ultimate vision Night in America, you know, last year was getting it off the ground. This year is making sure we have solid high school wrestling, some of the top matches that's happening, and then we're having still some college behind it. But by year 3, which will be 26, 27, the goal is to start having college matches at high school to create that crazy atmosphere where you have wrestling fans like on the side of the match. Like if somebody wanted to reach over and slap Spay or CP, they could do that. And I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people want to do that, so we want to give
Yeah.
you the opportunity to be close enough to slap them.
That's big. That's
Finally
big.
delivering for
So
the fans.
Normally
that
I'm just not in
alone,
slapping distance.
that alone, you know, is why you should be on Night in America. You know, coaches, a lot of coaches, they're hesitant, like, what's that going to cost us? You know, it's going to cost us to be on Flow. It costs you nothing to stream to Flow. It costs you nothing to be on Flow. You should just want to be on Flow because we're the session destination. Who else does more wrestling as we do? You know, last year we took it to another level by adding D2, D3 women wrestler, NIA. You know, before that, maybe some NIA would get lost somewhere in, I'm not going to say the 4-letter other companies plus, but you know, now you're like prime time, front and center. Like even D2 and D3s were premiered on Flow Wrestling Night in America last year. We're not just catering to the top D1s. You know, we're not just saying, you know, Penn State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. Where we want to be like for all wrestling. Flow Wrestling Night in America is about wrestling. It's about giving wrestlers a night of its own.
There you go.
And you get to slap CP.
Where are we at with purchasing the rights to James Brown Living in America? Because I think that's how we really take it to the next level.
Yeah, where are we at with that?
Where are we
I'm
at
sure
with
it's cheap.
purchasing James Brown living in? Well, you know, we're not very close. You know, I think Rocky still needs about $20 million. Flo's not at that budget to go pay $20 million just for rights for one song.
Dang it.
You don't
Just
have
give Shipley's a couple more years.
Yeah.
They give Shipley's a couple more years. You know, once we have about 20 franchises, I'll be able to, you know, help out Flo there.
Speaking of Shipley's,
And
Cyon,
that's me getting my
this is Cyon's photographic evidence.
From University of Donut?
donut. You see that donut? You
Dr.
graduation.
Donut.
Wow.
Yep.
dough.
I actually, you know, it's a 6-week course where you actually had, like, I had to move to Houston it was supposed to be for a month, 6 weeks, but I was like, it was going to conflict with our All-Star match last year. So I'm like, all right, Dad, this 6 weeks is not going to work. We need to condense this down into 4 weeks. So then I was there from Monday, like 7 days a week, 2 a.m. in the morning to 11 a.m. in the
Donut grinding.
like
11 a.m.
11 a.m. learning everything at the store. Then I go back to my Airbnb, jump online, get back on the track trying to find matches for Night in America and doing all the other stuff. And then that was like for 30 days straight. The day after I got Donut U, literally that morning then when I got that Donut U diploma done and all the testing got done, I like drove from Houston to Austin to the airport to go straight to the NWCA All-Star match last November.
Truly married to the game.
Wow.
And then like the first 2 months like here, it's like literally I was going into the donut shop 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. then coming into Flow after that.
So FloWrestling Night in America last year was just like, it's just like a side project for you. Now we got the full strength of Cyon.
Oh, you've always had the full.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we can I'm Jamaican, man. You know, I only do 2 jobs. You know, I'm still considered lazy.
You're loafing by Jamaican standards.
Yeah, I'm slacking off. You know, I need a 3rd job.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to look for another job for you, Cyon. Well, Cyon, it's been great having you on. You got to come on again soon.
Right. You know, like I said, it was been a year in CP. Like, you know, I'm gonna walk out the door. It's probably gonna put a lock, chain, and then y'all won't see me for another year.
That's possible. But you know what? This went great, and we appreciate you coming on. And I think it'll be less than a year. Yeah, honestly, I'll say this. How about we'll put it out on there. Once we get that FloWrestling Night in America schedule, a little more shape to it, you can come on and reveal it.
All right.
Does that sound good?
Or maybe leading up to World Championships, we have a name pronunciation test.
Ooh, yeah.
By the way, Cyon will be and I'll be at the World Championship this year again. You know.
No kidding.
Hey, Flo says they want things to run right. They send Cyon.
That's what I like to hear.
You know, that's why you see me at all the big wrestling events. They say when Cyon shows up, things go right.
That's what I think too. That's been my position for a long time. Well, I'm glad we'll see you there, and I'll see you downstairs. Maybe I'll grab a.
I'll see everybody later. At Final X.
All right. Thank you, Cyon. Triumphant return for Cyon
Do
Williams.
I one question asked?
Wait, no. That was, forget it. I'm trying to ask him a secret question off the show. Trying to read it
One secret question, I guess.
One secret question.
And actually, next time we will like demo some of the AI cameras.
That's what I want to do.
So we'll get that. We'll get a demo for online for We'll unveil it on FRL.
That sounds good. Do you think now Tyler's maybe one of the fastest bear crawlers in the world? Do you think the AI could keep up with his bear crawling speed?
He went to Michigan. Are they even good in Michigan?
They're crawling. They're well known.
Oh yeah. I'm kidding. Yeah. I think you can.
Okay, good. All right, well, maybe we'll put that to the test. All right, thank you, Cyon.
That's probably the ultimate test of the AI camera. if it can keep up with how fast I bear crawl.
That's what I think. That's just what I believe. All right, Cyon Williams, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
back to
much.
work.
Yeah, back
Have
to
some
work.
donuts.
We will.
5-star reviews. Shipping, dripping springs.
Shipping, dripping springs.
Help a brother out.
Shipley.
Yeah, don't look for actual shipping. You won't.
Yeah.
Shipley's dripping spring.
Shipping to dripping. All right. JD, get us back on track, sir.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
Let's pivot to our quarter century team. We've been talking a lot about this. We started off with 125. We narrowed it down to 4. We put the voting out to you, and the results are in. We have the greatest 125-pounder of the past 25 years.
Yeah, do we want to do it? Tyler wanted to do it kind of like starting with the 4th team and moving on up. Do you want to just
do this,
Tyler?
Okay. Whoa. Wow. Big responsibility.
Yeah, well, I trust you.
Starting at the top, 4th team, all quarter century, 125-pounder. We got, drum roll please, Matt McDonough. Woo!
McDonough.
Matt McDonough.
I will say,
Cyon,
you're off the show. Get out of here.
Mic off, but he's still trying to talk.
Leave. You can't boo Matt McDonough.
Get out of here.
Go.
I'm watching the.
What? No, listen, I politely exited you off the show. I said thank you. That's my way of politely saying, Cyon, walk out the door, and we'll have you on again. We don't want you here as the peanut gallery booing a legend like Matt McDonough.
It's nothing personal.
I know.
It is.
It's not personal me kicking you off the show either.
Yeah, it literally is just personal.
It is personal.
Personal? He's just a Hawkeye. It's just nothing personal.
It's not personal. It's just the team that I personally hate.
Yeah.
I will see you all next time.
Okay, see you then.
Love you, Cyon.
Thank you, Cyon.
You can still
That
watch
that
the
was-
dream team.
That was pretty funny, though.
It was kind of funny. Except Matt McDonough is the man. one of the best
Wait,
dudes
the
out
fact
there.
that we said bye to Cyon and then he's your boo.
Yeah, people are driving in their car. We're like, all right, Sion's gone. Some people are probably like, dang. Some people are like, great. And then all of a sudden we say Matt McDonough, and you go, boo.
That is also a man who coached with Bono, one of
I
Sion's
know.
great friends.
Yeah, for a time. Yeah, McD.
Sorry, let's give him some respect.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, my bad. I interrupted you.
No, you didn't. Sion did. No, the case for McDonough, I feel like if you look at all four of these candidates, he won the best weight of all of them. There was not a gauntlet run quite like the one he ran in 2010, which had the reigning national champion, Troy Nickerson. The year before that, Angel Escobedo was in there. Anthony Robles was in that weight. Andrew Long, of course, among other really tough guys. I think Prieston was also in that field. So definitely won the toughest weight of all these guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, that picture that we used there, that's like a perfect example of how I think of McDonough. Like watching those teams, he embodied the Iowa style. It was like 125, he was going to get things going, and it was going to be a battle. Yeah, just tough as nails.
Kind of good at everything. Could get to legs, incredible finisher. Iowa had a run there of scramblers with him and Derek St. John. They were some of the best scramblers in the game. And some of the stuff he could do with his counters, and he would roll under, he could far ankle, near ankle. Really good on top, would ride extremely effectively, got a lot of turns with his bars and variety of other things. Also he had an amazing lefty headlock that he would fire with. He only used it in bad situations, but the two times I recall him using it, he got some great pins. He hit it against Brandon Prieston. He was down. He hit it against Thorne. I think it would have been David Thorne. He was struggling. This was his senior year when he was battling a lot of injuries. I'm pretty sure he got Joe Colon with it one time in a freestyle match. But yeah, just an absolute grinder. Beat Nico Megaludis in the NCAA finals his junior year after losing to Matt McDonough. Very deserving to be on this list.
Do you remember, it didn't factor into this because it was post-college, but he went to like the Aliyah of like overseas in Dagestan and wrestled 57, didn't get the result that he wanted, and then weighed in at 61 at the same tournament just because they did each weight in one day then, and you weigh in the same day and go. And he was like, yeah, 57 didn't work out well, so I'm just going to do the 61 kg bracket now.
Yeah.
A lot of nostalgia for me with McDonough just he's an Iowa kid. I was an Iowa kid. He was a handful of years older than me, so like in high school and stuff, watching him compete, and I always liked the way he competed.
Yeah. Awesome.
Great
Awesome
example.
dude. All right.
All right.
Third.
Drum roll, please. Because this is a big deal, because once you find out who's on the third team, you then know who's in the top two.
And
That's true.
I will say, I felt like with this weight, no offense to Matt McDonough, but there were like three guys who were maybe going to get more votes, had a better argument to be the actual number one versus McDonough.
Yeah, it was tough to find the path for McDonough to win. I think you're right.
All right. Our third team, all quarter century, 125-pounder is Anthony Robles.
Wow. Okay. So Robles, the case for him, if you wanted to say, hey, Robles is the best guy, well, one, he's the only person on here with a win over someone else on this list. He beat Matt McDonough. In 2011, he was like 35-0, 34-0.
4, I believe.
And he had like 20-some techs, bunch of majors. So the picture I'm painting, incredibly dominated his way that entire year. He became he was really good. He was a multiple All-American. He had good wins. But he turned, and Ben talked about like him finding another level that year. He really got his conditioning was different because only having one leg and having to use so much arm strength. The arm bike thing, and he got really, really cardiovascularly stronger, and his grip was stronger, and he became a different dude. And if you take that 1 year of Anthony Robles and you put him against Spencer, you put him against Abbas, and obviously I had a hard time, and I wrestled with my order here for a while, and really thought, man, I don't know if any of these guys beat Anthony, because there's just a chance he's going to turn you 2 or 3 times, and that's it. And that would be all that mattered. And he didn't even wrestle with 4-point near fall.
Yeah.
Not to mention, he's really hard to take down. You need to have really good short offense, which Spencer Lee has. And I've thought about this match a lot, honestly. Like, how would it go? between him and Abbas, him and Spencer, we saw it with McDonough. But I think there is a case to be made that Robles beats all these guys. I think because you think about best version of all of them, it might be Anthony.
Right. And that's where this gets into the whole debate of, do you go more off credentials versus you throw these guys in a bracket at their best, who wins?
Yep.
And that's Anthony's path to being the champion here of the quarter century team, because Spencer and Abbas, 3-time champions, better careers off of credentials.
Yes.
That's the easy one, is counting up the championships. What I love about Robles getting a chance to talk about him is that year he had, his senior year, it was such a story that it bled over into your non-wrestling fan group, your friends and people, and they would be like, wait, do you know about this kid? Did you see this kid?
J-Lo made a movie about it.
J-Lo, man.
I'm talking about like at the time though.
Right.
It was like people are now, your friends being like, wait, you know about this guy, you know about wrestling, and then you get to talk about it, and that just made it fun to see an opportunity to bring that up again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, when you think about the matchup, none of these guys wrestled anyone even close to this style. So you can't even say, well, Spencer wrestled Patrick Glory, and so, okay. But also, that was one of the things, actually, now I mentioned Patrick Glory. Patrick Glory wrist tilted Spencer once or twice at Midlands. Now, Spencer, I think, still majored him. But it's that's what got me down a Robles thing. Maybe he is number one. Because Glory tilted him, so he could tilt him. These are the conversations you have when you're
a lot of not just transitive wins and losses, but transitive moves.
Yes.
If you hit it out of him, can he hit it on him now?
Yeah.
Because we kind of intentionally left the criteria for this quarter century team vague.
There's no criteria.
Exactly. There's no criteria. It's kind of up to everyone's own individual interpretation. If the criteria was specifically who had the best single season, do you think Anthony Robles would have won?
Yes.
Of the
I
last
think he was
25 years.
he was the most dominant. He beat the returning champ.
Yeah.
I think it would be. And I think if you look at Spencer had one undefeated year. He was robbed in 2020 because of COVID. 21 was a mini season. So we're always going to look at that differently. Also, as Brandon Courtney, the field wasn't what Robles ran. Similarly, Abbas was never as dominant as Anthony Robles, though 3 straight undefeated seasons is really insane.
I think it was just 2. He had 1 loss his sophomore year.
Okay, I was reading something on the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, and it made it sound like he went 3 straight undefeated years.
I could be wrong.
With all due respect to Nick Ackerman, it's pretty crazy he was co-Hodge winner and Anthony Robles did not win a Hodge.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
It's a whole other Hodge.
But it was a crazy year because you had Burroughs. Burroughs won that year.
Yes.
And he had more pins. And remember, at this time, pins were a criteria. And Anthony was
he was a tech guy.
He was a tech guy.
Yeah.
And then I think Jordan Oliver was there as well. He might have been second.
Maybe we need an award for most prolific point scorer.
Yeah. Well, that's basically what I think it is now.
Yeah.
Pretty much, because they took away pins and
They
it's
took
just
away
bonus
pins.
rate.
Maybe we need an award just for pinners now.
There you go. Spay will create a new award.
I am going to make an award one way or another.
Okay.
Are you guys ready for the second team all quarter century 125 pounder?
Barely.
Audience, this is where you find out who's number 2, who's number 1.
Yeah, you figure out
Who do
number
you think
one
it
at the
is?
same time.
Yes.
Our second team all quarter century 125 pounder is Steven Abbas.
Ooh.
Which therefore means you know who's number 1.
Spencer
But we'll save it. We'll save it.
number one.
We still need another drum roll.
Yeah. No, we won't have to drum roll that. So yeah, Abbas was. I think you could. The case is clear for a guy who. He and Spencer have so many similarities. Both 3-time champions. Both Olympic silver medalists. Abbas, neutral is the thing you think about when you think of Steven. Low leg attacks. He was hitting Delgado dive rolls in 2001, 2002.
Very slick.
Very slick. Great off the collar. He would shuck bys. He was filthy in terms of a variety of ways to score. He's tremendous.
It was funny you called it the Delgado dive roll. My high school coach, I'm from California, he called it the Abbas roll.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but it's what, many people, including me, Steven Abbas was wrestling before I got super into it. So I saw Delgado before I saw Abbas in a lot of ways. And then you kind of work backwards, like, okay, this guy's incredible. But yeah, what he could do on neutral, I mean, him versus Spencer would have been an incredible, incredible matchup.
I went back and forth on this with my vote, and I originally said Spencer Lee number 1, Abbas number 2, and that was probably just I haven't watched much Steven Abbas. I was barely alive when he was in college, and there's not a whole lot of video footage, and Spencer Lee is like a freak. He is one of the few guys I just go, how does he do it? I don't even understand what he's able to do to guys who are blow away 99% of wrestlers, even at the Division I college level, and he would just be able to do whatever he want with them. I switched, though, and I went with Abbas after kind of like looking into it and defaulted a little bit to credentials, right? Like record and stuff. And it was Abbas ending his career 3 undefeated seasons, being close to as dominant as Spencer in a time before 4-point near fall and 3-point takedown. And if you look at their NCAA runs, they're kind of similar in dominance level, where each guy was getting like a tech and a pin in the first round, maybe a tech and a pin in the second, and then major decision or like major decision.
Well, Abbas had a 3-3 win in one of his semi years.
But ultimately, Abbas ending his career like that, and senior year ending it on top, whereas Spencer took the loss to Matt Ramos, is basically ultimately why I ended up going Abbas number 1 with my vote.
Definitely similar careers. I think the fun thing about Abbas is it gives you an excuse to go back and look up some of the matches that you might have missed. I mean, he's obviously got the credentials, and now you can go back and then you go down the rabbit hole for the international matches. Brave found this great match that we did a clip of where he beat Malvet Batirov of Russia and to win world championships. And it's like Batirov then won the Olympics the next year, and I guess he was young, so a lot of Russians were jumping in the comments and making up excuses for that. But either way, it was
He didn't really lose.
But there's the clip on there. Tyler showing it, and then also in the comments you get guys like Daniel Cormier going in there, and a lot of the older guys that were on those teams with Abbas saying like, no, it's obviously Abbas. And of course, 25 years is basically what separates, or 20 years what separates the Abbas era and the Spencer Lee era. A lot happens in that time. It's almost impossible. It's not like baseball where the stats, you can have those kind of arguments based on like so many different numbers and ways to slice the stats. It's a lot about just the vibes.
Well, that also makes wrestling so great is it's not just stats, where it's like baseball. Baseball, like, let's be honest, it's kind of just a stats book, right? To determine who's the best.
It's also America's pastime, but yeah, you're right.
Right, like
you can geek out far more on stats.
I wonder if
and
we
you
could get
check
to
the book. Did he have a 330 batting average? Boom. Hall of Fame.
Well, you go through WAR is what you do, or OPS plus or something. All right.
I wonder if there's a way to get to a common opponent win for Spencer over.
I'm sure there
because
is.
Abbas wrestled Cejudo, who lost to Nick Simmons. I feel like that opens up a lot of possibilities to get to Spencer Lee. If Kozak, I bet could do that bit of homework for us.
We've gotten both Tyler and me to Sajalayev.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you can find a way in just about anything.
Yeah, so we're going to get this.
Sajalaev's closer to our age, though. That's where it gets a little hard.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, that they're 20 years apart, but I think there's there's probably a connection there.
You can chain them together.
What I was going to say, and why I kind of went back and forth, as I've kind of been explaining, but ultimately I watched a bunch of Abbas stuff, and I just felt like he's not going to be able to take Spencer down like that. Like, I thought that some of the finishes were a little slower, and Spencer's hip strength and defense probably would have been too much. But I don't know. It's one of the great what-if matches, but ultimately I went with Spencer after I had 3 different number ones before I ultimately submitted my ballot. So it's not conclusive to me who the number 1 is. There's some where I do feel strongly, but I don't.
I agree. I would not argue strongly against anybody that picked Abbas, because I also made Spencer my 1.
Cool. So
Yeah,
you got to show Spencer.
I know we've kind of talked about it, but I still want to talk about Abbas.
Okay.
I know we kind of talked about it, but just a recap, we took the 25 NCAA champions from the last 25 years, and we all submitted our top 4, and then when we tied up all those votes, that became the top 4 that we showed to the fans, and then we all had to re-rank our top 4. So that's why we're saying that the first time may have been different than our second time we voted, because we had that time to think about it in between the 2 votes.
Yes.
So I had a similar path as JD, where I voted for Spencer right away, and then I thought about it, and I looked at Stephen Abbas's, because I pulled it up, his college season records on the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Dude, he had 2 34 and 35-0 seasons. That, to me, I immediately I was like, okay, you know what? It flipped me, because Spencer's highest undefeated season was 19 wins, and it was COVID year, so he got robbed. But that's just nuts, dude. That win streak is crazy. But not to suck the air out of our final announcement, first team all quarter century, we got Spencer Lee, baby.
Spencer Lee's 2 Hawks on this list. Spencer Lee ended up winning. How close was the vote? I think Bray put it in.
I'll pull it up.
We'll pull it up. It was pretty close.
The fan votes were a different story.
The fan vote.
Not surprising, though.
Fan vote were like, who's Abus?
Now, I try not to judge too harshly, eras. So, I didn't want to ding Spencer too much for having less matches, because that's just what it is.
That's what it is now.
And so Steven wrestled more matches because that's what it was. But also, I think the sport of wrestling as a whole evolved and was probably at a better level 20 years after Abbas. Yeah. But I don't want to knock Abbas because he was wrestling in his era.
I think it does. I think you're right, and I think it sort of negates probably every opponent that Spencer faced was probably on average a little tougher than all the guys.
Yes.
But just doing the act of wrestling 35 matches is a difficulty in itself. Making weight that many times, etc.
And you could also say Spencer won on no ACLs, and that should be
true
for him as well. But
yeah, they all kind of have a trump card that you could state, and that is certainly one of them for him. Well, and also just Spencer's sort of a victim of weird timing outside of his own control, right?
Yeah.
He was wrestling at his absolute best. That 1920 season was going to very likely have his first undefeated year that year. And we were the ripple effect of COVID is crazy, because he's looking like the guy that's going to make the team there, right?
Fort Worth ran through everybody.
He ran through everyone. He beat Vito. He beat Nato, Cruz, etc. And it looked like he's probably going to be the guy. And then you get to everything that happens, and then he wrestles in 21, and the Big Tens tears the ACL. That should have been the end of his collegiate career right then and there. And in all likelihood, and everything's speculation on this whole conversation, but he would have finished with 2 undefeated seasons, a 4-time national champion, and it's just looked at really differently. Now, I'm not saying what the butterfly effect certainly is, but that's just my assumption. I think general consensus. And so we may be talking about him as someone who made an Olympic team during college, would have potentially medaled. And then it's just everything's just sort of changed. So it's just different.
And I even used he lost to Ramos in his final NCAA tournament card, and he wouldn't have even wrestled.
He never would have faced
that
Matt
tournament.
Ramos.
Correct.
Exactly.
Also, he's the only 125-pounder to win the Hodge in the last 25 years, and he won it twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great – we haven't mentioned Hodges yet.
Well, that was my differentiator was, you bring up baseball and how you compare guys. Well, wins above replacement is the stat that I mentioned. That's like how much more valuable is this guy to his peers? And you don't have a stat for that in wrestling. It just doesn't exist. But the Hodge might be the closest proxy to it, where you say everybody thought Spencer for 2 years was – at the he tied with Gable, but otherwise was
at every weight.
Yeah, what was more valuable than everybody else out there. I mean, it's not an MVP award, but it's the best approximation of that. And he did it twice, so that to me was like the tiebreaker, because it was very hard to judge Abbas. It's a different era. Didn't watch any back in the day. The other thing for his record and the streak that Abbas had for going undefeated, I don't know what Fresno State's schedule would have looked like. RIP to Fresno State. Yeah. I don't know, but I would guess that. Well, almost positive that Iowa's wrestling a tougher schedule than Fresno State in the early 2000s.
Of course.
And then, what programs were around in the West back then and what caliber of wrestler, not what Big Ten is in the late 20s.
Now, the 2 years Abbas went undefeated, Kill did win the Hodge both those years.
Yeah.
So a bit of a caveat in
Literally
there
the GOAT.
Yeah.
That is fair. So yeah, fun stuff. Always enjoy talking about this stuff. And for Spencer, when you look at the guys in his weight, he did win some good weights. Like he beat Nick Soriano. Nick Soriano's a 2-time national champion. Yeah. He had Sebastian. He had Nick Piccinini. Tomasello, yeah, national champion. So it's not like he was winning slouch weights by any means. It's maybe I talked about McDonough won the toughest weight of them all, but there's a case that Spencer won maybe the second toughest
and/or acquired the most best wins.
Yeah, Sebastian, Soriano, Tomasello. Yeah, for sure.
The final points were 49 for Spencer, 38 for Abbas, 22 for Robles, and 15.
That's pretty good. I mean, that just shows how. For all of them to get that many votes, yeah, really, really good crop. And every crop is amazing here.
Oh yeah, it was hard to narrow down. Who was your first out? Who was your fifth man?
Delgado.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so was mine.
It was hard to leave it
He
two-timer.
was pretty even with McDonough.
Beat him twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I actually put Soriano as my number 4. Part of that Michigan man bias, Michigan man 125 NCAA champ, but also he had an undefeated season, which McDonough did not.
Yeah.
I remember if on my original team I put Soriano at 33 or 25.
Yeah.
Probably 25.
Soriano definitely got had a tougher route to get into a top 4 because he won on both two weights, and it almost kind of like splits how people vote.
Didn't you put him at 125 in your top 4 at first?
The first one,
There you go.
but
Well, we couldn't put him in our second one.
well, right. I didn't actually have. I had Delgado in 3, and then Soriano 4.
Whoa.
And we're going to be rolling out 33 pretty
Monday, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Monday show's gonna be crazy. We're gonna reveal that Jordan Burroughs will be on the show, talking about Final X.
Not bad.
Yeah. So it's gonna be crazy next week. Next
programming
week's
note,
awesome.
and then we'll do a show on Wednesday
Yes.
at 10 a.m. Central because we'll be flying to Newark on Thursday.
Which
Beautiful
I meant to bring this up before the show, but we were talking about other things. Do you remember in 2023 Final X how it was like totally hazy from the forest fires in Canada? It's going to be like the same thing this year.
Really?
Got more fires
It's
up there?
happening. There's more fires.
People got to.
But you know what? Final X
Making
was fire in
fires.
2023.
No
so-
politics,
That's
please.
right.
Okay, that was funny. All right, next
Speaking
up.
on Final X,
Oh,
I made up some betting lines for us to get into. We're not gonna get into the real weeds of things on Final X. We'll do that next week, but a little Final X talk is pertinent. So let's start at 57, work our way down to 125.
these are from the official JD odds book.
That's right.
Okay.
All bets go through me. You can email me, and I'll
JD's
give you
getting
my
a taste.
Venmo. Yes. So I made Spencer a minus 900 favorite to Luke Liddell. Liddell plus 550.
So you would have to bet $900 to win $100.
Correct.
On Spencer Lee. That feels about right. So I like how you did it, not like in how many matches or how many points, just like a straight.
Well, yeah, and points is tough because
Text.
2 out of 3.
and 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Spencer does feel like a pretty substantial favorite. Does that feel right to you? Is he that much of a favorite?
Yeah. I mean, me and JD were talking about this earlier. It's like there are a couple weights where you're just gonna pick the other guy, so it's hard to even like set a line where you could get people betting on either side of it, which is what a book would want if it was a real Vegas book and not JD's Venmo.
What would Gilman's line have been for Zane Richards?
Oof.
It's
Near
probably
this.
close to this, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I
never
mean,
know what-
crazy things happen.
Yes. That was a crazy Final X.
Yes, it was.
Nick Lee beating Yanni was a total surprise.
Chance.
Chance beating Jordan. Everyone going into that, we're like, Chance's window to beat Jordan was 2022.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he did it. And then Zane right away, because I don't know if it went in match order, but I'm pretty sure it started with Zane Richards.
It did.
And right away, you're like, oh my gosh, Zane Richards just beat Thomas Gilman. That was crazy. So, these are the lines of speculation, but you never know how these guys are going to look and feel and wrestle on that day. And the Luke Liljedahl case is interesting. His career in so many ways does parallel Spencer Lee's. When you think about U17 world champ, U20 world champ, wrestled as a true freshman, right? And now Spencer Lee won as a true freshman. Luke Liljedahl was third, but in a lot of people's minds going into that tournament, he was the best guy.
Next year will probably
be the favorite.
Yes.
Right. Now the differences are also vast. Like Spencer is a one-of-one physical problem, which with strength unparalleled, speed unbelievable, and Luke, super technical, cat quick, collar and ankle stuff. But we saw this match a year and change ago, and it was a big win for Spencer. But Luke has certainly improved a lot, and I wonder his ability to kind of wrestle from space. How much distance does Luke try to keep Spencer's hands off of him? I feel like if Luke tries to wrestle out of a collar tie against Spencer, I feel like it could go really bad. So I'm curious, what the hand fight looks like and the approach from Luke Liljedahl. And do you try to do we always, it was so funny, a large part of FRL in the Spencer heyday was like, all right, you just need to kind of run away and get hit for stalling maybe 3 times in the first period and just hope you have a chance late, right? Can you do that in freestyle? Can you do that against this Spencer Lee now? That's what I'm interested to see. And of course, no one was able to ever implement that game plan.
And I do think that is still the game plan. Like, I don't think the
can't engage him early
is an issue for Spencer. Like, he has shown he can wrestle for 6 minutes now. I'm not saying that's the problem. I'm saying if you just get into a bunch of wrestling positions in the first 3 minutes, you're going to lose.
You get smoked.
Yeah, a bunch of those.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And you just can't. Spencer just needs one opportunity to end the match.
Yes.
And that's the scary thing. And I don't think there's any amount of running, hiding. When you get on the mat, it gets scary. You need to get taken down with your head towards that boundary. Yeah. Right? Like, these are the things I don't know if you can even put them in your mind if you're the staff or Luke, but me as just a wrestling fan, these are the things I think about.
That is kind of what I was talking about and why I originally went Spencer as my number 1 quarter century 125, just because the stuff he is able to do to the highest level in the world doesn't make sense. Like, nope, I just want you to go over to your back now and I make you.
Yeah.
Like, it's freak stuff.
Yes.
So is there any value in this line still with taking a flyer on Liljedahl or thinking Spencer's that dominant?
Put like $2,000 on it.
A couple G's. I mean, I think one way to look at, or, how you would actually bet is to get all 10 of these lines out there and then kind of pick and choose where you think you see some value and do some flyers, some low-level bets on the big dogs. And then for the overdogs, maybe like pick one that you really think is good value, and then hammer that. I don't know.
Go to the next one.
Well, you got to put your money down.
Oh,
$100. Are you putting it on Spencer or Luke?
I'm not betting. Yeah, I can't bet $100 to win 9, or whatever it would be. I'll throw $5 on Liljedahl.
You have to bet $900 to win 100.
Yeah, if I bet 100, what do I win? Like $10?
Yeah. Well, yeah, 9 points on.
So value with Liljedahl.
Yeah.
65. This one was tough to make a line for. I went McKenna minus 150, Woods minus 110.
I thought you were going to show more respect to McKenna than you did. Not that you disrespected him, but of course, you guys know, like, I'm big on Real Woods. I like the matchup, right or wrong. I just think he has better offense, but everyone I talk to is like, no, you're not right. Joey's going to win this. I'm like, okay. And it's very possibly true, but I think there's not that much value with Real. It's still minus money, but I'd probably favor him.
Yeah, this is what makes 65 kg so great. It's any given Sunday type of weight. Like, you could have made the spread larger for these guys, or started weighing the odds one way or the other, and it's still like, it's 65. Like, Woods can get hot. Woods can have a tough match. Like, you saw both of these guys can drop a match to guys, whatever. I think the 2 out of 3 favors McKenna. I think there's some value there if I'm looking at an overdog, picking McKenna, or putting some units down, some betting units on McKenna. I don't know if I'd go super heavy on it though.
Which series is more likely to go to 3 matches? 65 or 86?
65. I mean, McKenna has had match. He had a one go 3 with Yanni. I just think think about these guys. They both have had like buzzer beater match, multiple buzzer beater type of matches in the last month or so, right? Both ways. So I think it's going to be in the margins late. It would surprise me if it wasn't. And so I think there's a great chance this one goes 3.
I would probably put money on Woods.
Okay.
If you're feeling Woods, it's not a bad place to find some value.
Yeah. 70 kilograms. Yanni, minus 400. PJ Duke, plus 280. Did I not give enough credit to Duke Mafia?
Did you make a powerful enemy in the Duke Mafia?
Yeah.
That is possible.
Will you be on the lam now?
I know.
Yeah.
That's a Mafia. You want to be friends with them.
Listen, we're gonna be in Newark, and you just insulted the Mafia. This is not good.
That's a horrible stereotype. I don't know where you got that from. Us New Jerseyans will not stand for that insult.
Yeah, you fit the description perfectly. Spay.
Say that to my face. It's a pizzeria.
Spayolini. I cannot wait to get some freaking New York, New Jersey pizza. I cannot wait for that.
And not disrespect the pizzeria because we know you don't do that.
Yeah, I don't do that. I would not do that. I think minus 400 is probably about right. How is Duke going to be able to overpower Yanni? I don't think so.
Yeah.
If James Green wasn't able to,
Yes.
I kind of feel like PJ Duke won't be able to.
Yeah. He messed up Bryce, who had a tough match with PJ. I think the savviness of Yanni. I think it's Yanni. I would have a hard time putting money. Although, minus 400, that doesn't get you too excited.
No, but this is also one where I think if you're putting bets everywhere and you're trying to make it all equal out, like this is where you find some value in Yanni. I see some anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. 74 kilograms. Messenbrink, minus 325. Carr, plus 150.
So I've watched it multiple, I don't know how many times now, the Carr Messenbrink match. And if you look at, like, with a minute and a half to go, it's 3 takedowns each. The difference being David's, chest wrap decisions doubling down on, bad leg defense, right? Going from giving up 2 points to giving up 4 points, not once but twice. Feels like that's just such an easy adjustment to make. Don't go for this move where you for yourself when you could just give up 2. It made me feel like, all right, if he's, he is not going to feel like, wow, I can't win this match. If you rewatch it, and he wrestled it, he started off with the 2-2, got the takedown in the lace. The thing is, the more the match went on, the more Mitchell was able to get his left hand on that collar and really just, that's what I feel like Carr's going to have to control that better, and not let him just set his hands and just fire, and just like, he's got to have better, his head hands has to be way better this match than it was, because towards the end, Mitchell could just get in unencumbered. So you watch that and you feel like, all right, how much of this is going to happen again? Mitchell's going to get his hands on him again, for sure. I agree with that. I think Carr will have opportunities, for sure. Carr just needs to be smarter defensively, and you can't double down on mistakes. So I think there's value with Carr.
Yeah, I would go Carr. Mitchell's my pick, but
right. I think 2 out of 3 really favors Messenbrink. Just the more mat time is just going to work in his favor. Mm-hmm. But you have to respect Carr and his abilities. So I think that's a pretty good.
If Carr had stunted through World Team Trials, I'd be feeling a lot better.
Right.
And I could be just overreacting to a tournament he won. Right.
You can still think like he didn't stunt that tournament, but he could. Let's say they wrestle that tournament again. Like, you wouldn't be surprised.
I know. Well, that's my point, is that I thought he was going to, and when he didn't, I'm, sort of changed.
Time to start asking, did getting engaged ruin his wrestling career?
Yeah. Well,
relation or causation?
I didn't know he was engaged.
Either way, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Whether he's engaged or not.
Yeah.
definitely is.
Okay.
All right. 79, Haynes minus 380, Wick plus 300.
I think I know they wrestled last year, and Levi beat him, but it was a pretty close match until the pin, the big four and the pin. So I think this is a little too much for Levi, and I would probably think that there's good value with Evan at plus 300.
Yeah, he's so dangerous. I mean, he's still super long for 79 kilos. He's still got cradle potential. I'm picking Haynes as into this, but I think there's some value there for Wick, and I think if you're looking to find an underdog with some attractive odds, Wick might be there.
Part of this is also too like the public, where they're gonna vote. Got to think a lot of.
Yeah, if you tilt the
Levi.
scale for Penn State and make their odds a little longer or a little shorter, I mean, yeah, that
You're gonna
might be a
entice-
good business decision for the JD Sportsbook.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, Wick announced he signed with the Askren RTC, Askren Wrestling Academy RTC. Is he still in California, or has he moved
I'm not sure.
to Wisconsin and is training
I don't know.
in Wisconsin? So I think he was announced it, but was still living in California.
Yeah, I would assume he's continuing his training there. But he looked great at the Open. Was, pretty dominant run through that. He's gonna be I think his length is gonna be a factor. He's gonna be able to get to legs. I don't think he just can't airmail any shots. Like when he gets in, he's got to really get in. Because if you start missing your shots, Levi is gonna pepper you with reattacks all day long.
Yep.
It was cool listening to Levi. He was on the Bo Nichols podcast. You should listen to it because it's the longest I've ever heard Levi talk about anything, and talked about freestyle. He said it's actually, I didn't think he was going to say this, but he said it's his favorite style of wrestling. He just prefers it. He felt like he feels like folk style is just more about just like conditioning and like toughness, and he really likes like the skill aspect of. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of hunting talk, which that's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, fishing too, I bet, right?
No, he loved. Well, they maybe, but he didn't talk about that.
Oh.
He just talked about hunting and killing deer, and bear. That was actually, it was very interesting because they're both super into it. So that was cool.
The murder of innocent animals.
Oh my gosh, what a frickin' coastal elite here.
All right. 86 kilograms. Valencia the favorite at minus 125. Dake at minus 110.
Honestly, Zahid beat him 8-4, and you're getting it at minus 125. I think that's decent money. Or decent odds. I think this is one of the rare cases where maybe you side with the favorite here because it's not significant, and he is the favorite. But then you have to confront the fact that you just bet against Kyle Dake.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. I think everyone will kind of go through that kind of reaction that I just had. Be like, oh, he won, and he's, not that big of a favorite. But then you're like, I have to lose money. I have to bet that Kyle Dake won't win. And that is a hard bridge to cross.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yes,
sure
it
I'm
is.
there.
This is one where it's like, where's the sharps' money and where is the public's money? And like, would more of the public bet on Dake? Although Valencia is also still pretty popular. So I don't know if you could find a way for that to make sense. Yeah, same. I think it's pretty good because it's close to a pick 'em. Even though Valencia did get that win, it's Dake. It's not like you got to write him off after losing one match.
And that's why that internal dialogue is why I still might put my money down on Dake if I have to go.
The cool thing about this series is that no matter what happens in match one, I feel like there's always going to be a chance for the other guy.
Yes.
You'd never be like, oh, this is done.
You're not going to get all right, it's another 1-1 shot clocks, whatever.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen in these matches.
What if Dake wins big?
That's what I was
Match
thinking.
one.
But
Because-
how does Kyle Dake win big? He watches. He's not going to be able to chest wrap Zahid Valencia like he did Parker Kekheisen. It's just not. He just does not have that. He's not going to be able to score that many points on him.
He would have to do it with turns, right? He would have to get on top and get
Yeah.
a couple turns
Yes.
because I don't think he's going to take him down.
He had a hard time getting on, and that's the thing. How does he get on top? He had a really hard time getting the legs, And that's why, yeah, if that did happen, it would absolutely change it. But I just don't see him being able to. It's going to be a super close criteria win, one takedown type of win for Dake if he gets it done. I think that's the 86 Dake right now.
92, Hidley the favorite at minus 190, Bar the dog plus 120.
I'd bet Bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking. So I'm my pick is Hidley, and so I think I don't think Barr is gonna just outshoot him and kind of break him the way he broke some guys. His last year in college. But I don't think there's a lot of value on either side, so I'd probably sit that one out as far as betting, because I think that's pretty close. Because I think Barr's barely plus money, so even if you think,
Right.
like if it's a pick 'em in your mind, you got nothing.
JD's ripping us off both sides.
Yeah, give us some place to make some money. Otherwise,
House has to have the
there's got to be
advantage.
quality on my end. Otherwise, no deal.
No deal.
Bar has gotten so much better
He's so good.
in the past 12, 18 months. He is so good. But
The question, I
just
mean,
eat this underhook, son. Like, I don't know. I just
I watched Aiden wrestle him he wrestled Trent pretty competitively. He got bowled over right away and then kind of was able to maintain, right? Now, Barr, is he going to get bowled over like Aiden did? I don't think so. Are the underhooks a big problem? Yeah. He's going to have to contend with that. Trent is a super unique field. Even by an underhooker's standards, Trent does it differently, right? He has this pouncing sort of attack that
He
just
jumps in and then slaps your lat.
yeah, it's different. So, but what I think helps Josh. You think Josh, volume attacker, is he going to get punished for his frequency of leg attacks? I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to get re-attacked. Now, what Trent could, he has really good short offense, front headlock stuff. He can jump over you, which we've seen against David Taylor. But I think this is a great chance for Trent to do it.
could step outs be an issue
Absolutely.
with the pressure of Trent.
100%.
And even just getting to a leg, not finishing, driving you out of bounds. Right? Or Trent gets underneath, Bar sprawls, but Trent's able to drive him up and out for one.
Great chance to go 3 here. I think that I could definitely see this one going 3 matches.
Yeah, same. What's cool about this weight is the U.S. has never failed to medal at a World Championships.
And we never will.
And we never, yes. No pressure, though, guys.
No pressure.
97.
It's already been decided.
97. Kyle Snyder, the favorite, minus 180. Zilmer plus 415.
That's not what 850 is what you have.
What did I say?
180.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
180 would be insane. That would
Yes.
be, we're taking your entire business from you.
Correct.
Yes, you're done.
Even this was generous, probably, and Kyle maybe should be a bigger favorite, but given, his scandals of the past month,
He has-
for his time back, that's why, I think there'll be, in the public's eye, some questions surrounding Kyle and what his performance will be.
Yeah, I just think while all that is true, I think he has not lost at this weight class.
Over 10 years now,
Yeah.
domestically.
Almost. Well, he sort of has he does
yeah,
have
the
a
loss
loss
to
to
Varner.
Varner, but like he has
2016.
run this weight, and that's what we're talking about is making the team. There's a read, and Hayden Zilmer was at 125 for the U.S. Open, and it's because of this guy.
Yeah.
And now Kyle's back, and I think he's going to win.
But is 850 enough for you to put shekels on him?
No, I'm not going to bet it. No, I would not bet that.
I'm going all in on Snyder. That's going to be my.
That's not a bet. That's an investment.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, in bonds.
I'm taking the majority of my betting units, or maybe half, and I'm going on Snyder, and then I'm finding some flyers, some other value.
Yeah.
You put 850 down a couple days before, you get $100 return.
That's easy money. Easy.
Right.
Better than CDs.
Yeah. I don't have to wait for the maturity of my bond or whatever.
Precisely.
Yes.
The only thing that is in the back of my head is just Zilmer's big upset over Gwiz at Final X
I know.
a couple of years ago, and how shocking that was. I'm not saying Gwiz is to the level of Kyle Snyder. That's not what I'm
There was
saying.
a time they certainly was.
Right. I'm just saying it's comparable. It's not a good comp, but it is comparable.
But the one reason that it's good to bring it up, but Gwiz got so tired. and that was why that's why Hayden was able to beat him. And Kyle is yet to ever be tired in a wrestling match that I've watched.
I have much love and respect for the Jack Pine Savage.
Yes.
I'm glad he is at 97.
Me too.
I'm glad he's competing and at the Go for Wrestling Club, where I think he's got a great fit there. But there have been greater upsets. It's not the most insane thing, but I would be shocked if Snyder didn't win.
Yeah.
Last weight, this one I absolutely took public consideration in where they would vote into this line because I made Wyatt Hendrickson the largest favorite in the field at -1,000. Trent Hilger the biggest dog at +900.
I would, as I think about your order, I think I would go Kyle, Wyatt, and Spencer is the third biggest. So I'd probably move that around. It's maybe by 50 units. But yeah, I do think Wyatt is he's on a heater right now. I think he's just a different level. He can make a mistake in a match and he's going to score so many points that it's just hard to pick against him.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point, JD. We're setting betting lines here. You're taking the public perception into account. And Hulk Hogan himself has said that the NCAA has put this young man on his radar. There's no hotter wrestler right now. So,
Hell yeah, brother.
no disrespect to Trent Hilger. I rewatched his U.S. Open match, and he floored Hendrickson right off the bat. And then Hendrickson came back, turned him a couple times, looked in total control of the bout, and then the second period was completely scoreless. So Hilger, that does not reflect, I don't think, the true odds, but I do think Hendrickson is a heavy favorite, and he's going to have everybody looking to bet on their guy at this point.
Right. It just felt like if you make Wyatt anything less, like that's where the money's going or a high percentage of it.
Yeah, no, so take advantage of the public. The sharps can stay away.
Yeah.
Come here. Like I said, jd.radar@flowsports.tv, and I'll pass along my Venmo.
There you go.
You can go through. I might even do live betting
Ooh.
if you get your bets in quick enough.
Wow.
You might even
June
make it
14th.
a more illegal sports book.
Boom. Correct.
Yes.
Hey, I don't know New Jersey laws. All right. Some quick last final
Yeah.
news notes before we move on to questions. The Tsargush is loose. He is back. He is the new head coach of Team Russia.
Yeah. Getsalov, legend, 7-time World Olympic gold medalist, but popped for steroids. So I guess you can't be a head coach for an old test in like 2015 or something. And so he's out. Tsargush, you remember the battles he had with Burroughs. Not a very, like to pull singlets, maybe some other stuff. But he's been Russia's...
Yeah, giant cheater is what Space's saying. He was the ultimate villain. He's I think the biggest Russian villain we've had since the last 15, 20 years, even bigger than Godoyev, in my opinion. So yeah, I like it. I like the move. Makes Russia even more villainous, which we like.
Yeah, Getsalov was pretty tame. Tsargush,
Yeah, very quiet guy in the corner.
Yeah. Tsargush was coaching the U15 team for Russia for a while, and they're very much respect guys with accolades and being.
He was at Worlds in Albania too. They're helping out, coaching.
Yeah.
In the all black, dude. Freaking the Russian warm ups at Worlds in 24 were insane. There's
because they're not the Russian team,
but they were just all black.
Yeah.
And then
It's kind of intimidating.
no, it was. It's just like all these Russian dudes roll up in all black. It's like, oh my gosh, because they're intimidating people just generally.
Yeah.
And then they're Russian, and then it's like, all right.
Very gruff looking, usually with some stubble.
Yeah.
No time for a geography tangent, but Tsargush comes from Abkhazia, which is an interesting part of Georgia, a little breakaway republic up there. So
So it's in Georgia, but it's Russia.
It's in Georgia, but it's de facto independent, but Russia controls.
We should pull this up.
This is a highly contested.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting
This
that
border.
I was reading questions. What do you want to pull up?
no,
Nothing.
The other thing that's interesting is Dagestan and Ossetia are the two like rival Caucasus areas.
Iowa, Penn State.
Yes, and
It's like getting a Cornell guy in the mix.
and yes, yeah. It is. So it's like if Russia, who do they pick? It's very political. If you pick a guy from Dagestan to be the head coach, that was Tadiev and Gusanov. Those were they alternated. Tadiev, then they brought in Gusanov, who's Dagestani.
Tadiev was
And Tadiev is Ossetian, and then they brought Tadiev back, and it was like, what's going on? And Getsalov is Ossetian, and now you have kind of like a non-partisan guy.
There you go. A third-party candidate has emerged.
Yes.
They're kind of narrowing their selection for a coaching pool by saying anybody who has a doping violation cannot be
Yeah.
coach.
They're rolling the dice with any future
Correct.
selection.
Back to NCAA wrestling. Quick portal news. Hippolito announced he's going to Oklahoma. And yesterday, the day before, Chris Cannon announced he's going to Minnesota.
Not Michigan.
Different block
He
end.
didn't recommit to Northwestern.
Yeah. Okay, good pickups there. Oklahoma's added a lot in the portal.
Yeah.
Wells, Keller, Hippolito. I'm missing some too. Oh, Soldano.
Right.
I think there's still others, but yeah, they've been very active in the portal. So the Sooners should have a tough squad. We'll see who else they pick up.
Yeah, Hippolito, real high ceiling, real fun guy to watch too.
Yep.
Nice pickup.
Some questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
First question is from Sam. He said, which freshman champ is the most surprising one-time champ? Mark Hall and NATO come to mind. Was Jason Sursis a freshman champ?
Yeah, but yes, he was.
Kind of surprising, right?
No.
No?
I mean, if you watch that tournament, he won them all in overtime.
Tiebreakers.
Yeah.
And it was also like the weight was really down because Hunter Stieber would probably have been the best guy. He got hurt and had to redshirt. So you kind of knew it wasn't like the best weight. Anyway, and he got like 3 losses at Midlands that year, I think. He lost like Brody Grothus and Grohalis and maybe one other loss. Maybe Steve Blease. I don't know.
Well, that's maybe part of it is the most surprising champion.
That's
too.
what I'm saying.
Oh, I
That's
thought
why
that
it was
was
surprising.
No, so this means what this guy means is
After they won.
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
So it's like, why it's surprising that they only won one.
yes, that's what this guy
I
means.
misunderstood the question.
I think Mark Hall only winning one is a
He also got screwed by COVID, right?
a little bit, yeah,
Because he probably would have won in 2020 and owed Saheed.
maybe. He lost to Kimmer that year, so
True.
it was not a foregone conclusion he was going to. He could have won.
Mark Hall had crazy hype coming out of high school.
Yeah.
And then when he won, it was
As a true freshman, you're like, oh, he's gonna win 4.
this is it. He's the
We did a flow film on him called The Prodigy.
Yes, and he was.
And then we jinxed him.
Tomasello, it's easy to. I mean, I would have thought he'd win again, but then in 2016, Megaludis is back because that was the punt year for Penn State where they redshirted everyone, including Nico, and then Gilman came into the mix after what was going on. No, Gilman was there in 2015. Just the weight got really tough, and then Spencer Lee, who would have thought, right?
Well, you could also look at it this way. You take all those guys coming out of high school, which is the most surprising NCAA champ. Surtis.
Well, he was a huge recruit,
Yeah.
monster recruit. So
Yeah,
I don't
his
think
brother
not
was
a big
a champ.
he was like the number 1 guy. I think he beat Zane in high school. So it was not a surprise that Jason Surtis won a national title.
Sure.
Coming out of high school, that would have been kind of expected.
I think you brought up some the message board blast from the past. Surtis is T-shirt. Everybody just called him
T-shirts, yep.
T-shirt. And then you said Brody Grothus, and I hadn't thought about for a while until Kentucky Mudflap would just spell his name Grow, Grow, Grothus.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah,
Was-
he's a Hawkeye Report legend.
Was Miles Martin a freshman national champ?
Yes.
He only won one, right?
Yeah, but
It's surprising he lost his last year.
that was a shock.
Yeah.
Huge. That was one of those. You're not even paying attention to the match, and then Max Dean's on the leg. I just remember that moment so vividly, like being like, I cannot believe that just happened. Miles was like, the level he was wrestling at his senior year was he had majored Max Dean multiple times that year. He was like on the short list to win the Hodge. Like he was looking like a guy that was going to be a big senior level contender. It was unbelievable. Yeah, huge shock. Next
question.
Yep.
So this is a question for Cyon, but we're going to have to answer it in his absence.
This is
It's
a secret question.
Daniel Overby said, a question for Cyon. If you were coaching a folk-style match, grilling some chicken, baking donuts, and also DJing a beach party at the same time, which would you lose track of first, the drop, the yeast, the grill, or riding time?
Riding time.
Yeah,
I've watched him score matches.
like he wouldn't lose track of riding time there. He just if it was up to him,
wouldn't pay
wouldn't-
attention.
Yeah,
What do you mean? He's up by 4.
I didn't know Cyon did much DJing though, so I don't know.
Yeah,
if
I don't
knows
think
what
he
a
does.
drop is.
Yeah, I was unaware of that.
I've never known Cyon to listen to music. Now that I think about it.
It's so funny that you said that because someone asked. Let me see if I can find it. Someone asked, "Does Cyon have good taste in music?"
Oh no.
I don't.
I asked him about some Jamaican. He's not a Bob Marley guy because he's like that's for tourists or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he said Daniel. No.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Anyway.
Move on. Next question.
Moving on. Derek James Pierner. He said, "Which team has the best singlet?"
Buffalo Gap.
Which we all know. and
Next
recall
topic.
immediately as
Classic. It's a B and a G.
I like the iconicness of Iowa and Penn State.
Yeah.
Iowa just a little in the corner, doesn't change. The black, Penn State with the belt stripe. But my all-time favorite is the gold Minnesotas.
Yeah.
That's nice. This is a old man yells at cloud thing, but I'm like, stop with the alternate and the different ones. I want one so I can identify the team at NCAAs instantly. Arizona State's got some great fashion, some great drip, all that stuff. But they have 1,000 different singlets in every different color. I never know if they're the maroon team, the yellow team, the gray team. Anyway.
No, I like it if you don't have an iconic singlet
Yeah.
like Penn State or Iowa. You know, go out, like, have the coolest one, coolest.
I want everyone to establish their own
Next question.
iconic
But
singlet.
do you like the name on the back of singlets?
Sure, why not?
No.
No, why not?
You know what? I just kind of impulsively said that. I don't really care.
I was like, you wrestle for the name on the front of the back.
No, I think name on the back of singlet's cool because then it's even cooler when you wear someone else's singlet and it says their name.
Yeah, and you confuse the poor commentators.
That's the cool thing to do. Now, I feel like kids don't even do that because it used to be like, oh, I forgot my singlet or I don't have one. Let me borrow yours.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's the cool thing.
That's
to
the
do.
cool thing. You
Like,
wear your RTC coaches.
There were a bunch of McFadden singlets.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone was
Ohio
repping
from the Cornell
McFadden.
guys.
All right, this is our last question. We're out of time. Coach,
Why
what?
are we doing this one? He's not here.
Because I want to know if one of you guys can accept this challenge because I don't know if there are a couple in here that would mess me up. So
I don't know
this
all
guy,
these people.
Coach Dog said, have Cyon pronounce. Oh, you don't want to do this?
No.
All right, the show's over.
I thought we had a bunch of good questions.
It's done. It's 11:31.
Oh, well, who cares? All right, I guess we're done. All right, thanks for listening. We'll be back Monday with Jordan Burroughs. Thank you to our friends at Nike Wrestling. Make sure you head to NikeWrestling.com. Get all the best shoes, best stuff. You can get the sweatshirt that Tyler's wearing and so much more. Thanks a lot. See you Monday. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.